Before I start, I want to ask you to hit that subscribe button if you love real, raw stories like this, and don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. I'd really like to hear what you think. It was 11 p.m. when I noticed her car wasn't in the driveway. My wife had been gone all night, and I didn't call. I didn't check in. At first, I tried to tell myself it was normal. Maybe she was working late, maybe she was out with friends, but something in the pit of my stomach wouldn't let me settle. I poured myself a glass of water and stared at the empty living room. The faint hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of the wall clock were the only sounds. I could almost feel her presence in the apartment, like a ghost lingering, reminding me of the warmth that should have been here. My mind started replaying the day. She had been unusually cheerful in the morning, almost flirtatious, laughing a little too long at some story she told. There had been a phone call she stepped out to take, muffled and hurried. She had said it was nothing, just a client needing extra details, but the tone in her voice was clipped, almost defensive. By midnight, when her shoes were still absent from the hallway and her phone unanswered, my chest tightened. I tried to convince myself I was overreacting, that maybe she just needed space. But a tiny voice whispered, "This isn't normal." The next morning, she returned as if nothing had happened. Her hair smelled different, perfume I didn't recognize, and her eyes had a distant glint I couldn't place. She smiled at me, casual, warm, as though the night hadn't existed at all. "Where were you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice even. "Oh, just some friends," she said, laughing lightly. "Nothing to worry about." But I couldn't shake it. Something was off. Over the next few days, the subtle signs became impossible to ignore. Missed calls, messages that vanished when I picked up her phone, sudden excuses for meetings or errands. First, I blamed myself. Maybe I was too paranoid. Maybe I didn't give her enough attention. I looked for explanations that would let me sleep at night without confronting the fear gnawing at me. Then came the accidental discovery. I was doing laundry when I noticed her tablet left on the kitchen counter, notifications blinking. I hesitated, heart pounding, but curiosity got the better of me. And there it was. A string of messages, flirtatious and secretive, between her and a colleague I didn't know existed. Laughs, emojis, private jokes. Times and dates that didn't align with what she had told me. I remember sitting on the cold kitchen floor, my hands trembling as I scrolled. Every line of text was like a slap to the face, a betrayal carved into pixels. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Memories of late-night talks, cozy dinners, shared dreams. All of it felt tainted, like I had been living in a carefully constructed illusion. I didn't confront her immediately. I didn't yell, didn't throw things. I sat with it. I tried to process how someone I loved, someone I trusted with my entire life, could make choices that left me invisible. I questioned myself, had I been blind? Was I not enough? But deep down I knew the answer. This wasn't about me. When I finally spoke to her, the tension was unbearable. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table, the morning sun cutting through the blinds, illuminating the quiet devastation in both our faces. "I know about the messages," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I saw them." Her eyes filled with tears, but her lips pressed into a thin line. She nodded, almost mechanically. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this," she whispered. "It started small. I didn't know how to stop." I felt a mix of anger and sorrow so heavy it pressed against my chest. "Small? All night, gone without a word, and you thought that was small?" She looked down, silent. The apartment felt smaller, the air heavier. I realized then that this wasn't about accusations or blame. It was about recognizing a truth that couldn't be undone. Over the next days, we navigated an awkward, painful silence. I moved some of my things out, reclaiming space in my life that had been shared but no longer felt safe. I reflected on memories I thought were sacred. Movie nights, whispered jokes, promises exchanged in the dark. Now they were tinged with doubt, each recollection a reminder of trust broken. I won't lie, the heartbreak was raw, and it didn't fade quickly. But I learned something important: I could survive it. I could feel pain and still move forward. I could acknowledge the love I had and the betrayal I endured, and choose self-respect over resentment. One evening, weeks later, I packed the last of my things. I paused by the doorway, looking at the home that had once been ours. No words were spoken. She watched me leave, silent, her eyes filled with guilt and something else. Regret, perhaps, or realization. I didn't look back. Walking away wasn't easy. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But as I drove, I felt a strange liberation. The pain was still there, but so was clarity. I knew that loving someone didn't mean losing yourself. Trust, once broken, could never be the same. But neither could courage, resilience, or self-worth. Sometimes memories still sneak in, the smell of her perfume, the sound of her laugh. But now they don't wound in the same way. They remind me that I survived, that I learned, and that I am capable of reclaiming my life from heartbreak. And that's what I want you to take from my story. Love deeply, yes, but never at the cost of yourself. Listen to the signs your heart gives you. Honor your instincts and remember that betrayal, no matter how subtle, can be survived with dignity. Because in the end, the quiet moments of strength, the decision to walk away, to breathe, to rebuild, those are the victories that matter.